Okay, so welcome to Staci McGlinchy. Staci is a relatively new member to the congregation and has immersed herself in everything that we do and is now everywhere. And we are delighted. We are delighted to have you. So, Staci, this is the program called My Jewish Story, and it's a voluntary program where we get a chance to learn about everybody and meet everybody and learn their Jewish story. And it's always interesting because we all have some really interesting Jewish stories. So here is an overgeneral question.
Okay.
Tell me your Jewish story.
Well, I grew up in West Long Branch, and I was what the kids and it wasn't just me. A lot of kids, we were pizza bagels. So part Italian and part Jewish. So we were pizza
Pizza
bagels.
bagel. I've never heard that. Okay.
But it was a term of endearment.
It is, yeah.
Uh, yeah. So my dad was Jewish, passed away. My mom is Italian, Israeli, and Greek. So my brother and I were initially brought up with both. Like we had Christmas, but as like an American holiday, like there wasn't significance to it. And then we had Passover. And so the idea was we were going to pick which religion to join. But I don't know, my parents split up and that never really happened. But there was so much, the houses were pretty much the same. I just ate a little bit better at my Italian grandma's house.
Well,
But
you know the joke, right? The joke that's going around that a Sephardic family thought they got COVID because they went to their Ashkenazic machatenas and they couldn't taste anything.
well, that's exact. So my mom is the stereotypical Jewish mother, and she will even say to me, you're just Ashkenazi, but I'm more Israeli.
Yeah, right. Well,
Yeah. Yeah. And I just remember growing up with that. Like it wasn't until law school where I had like my first anti-Semitic experience, because everyone was like me at home, you know.
what
So
happened?
I had my Star of David necklace on, and I was checking out. It was like a 7-Eleven. It's called a Sheets. I don't know if you've ever heard of Sheets.
Sheets, sure, in Pennsylvania.
Yes, yes, yes. I went to school in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, at
Sure.
Dickens. And so I was checking out, and I had my necklace on, and the woman at the counter said something like, "Get out, we don't serve you." And I'm looking, I didn't understand
Really?
what she was talking about. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Wow,
She goes, right? And this is in like 89.
that's astonishing.
It,
Or maybe not. I don't know.
it was astonishing to me. I had never heard anything like that before.
Okay, so you clearly identify Jewishly,
Oh, yeah.
and all of the uh, um, consequences of that, anti-Semitism, and all that. Yeah, keep going.
Well, I remember one funny story, like, now there's this big push because I'm a teacher, and there's this big push for like Holocaust education, which is great. When I grew up, everybody's grandfather or grandmother had a story. So we didn't have a formal Holocaust education, but it's like seeing the ocean. You don't remember when you became aware of it. It was just something you always knew. And like my brother and I had hiding spots in our house in case, we had to hide. And it was my mom who told us to do that. And I remember one time I was hiding in the coat closet. My dad came home and he opened the closet and he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm hiding from Hitler."
Interesting.
in the coat closet. Yeah, my grandfather was in World War II, and my grandmother was like, he lost a lot of his family, and my
In the
grand
Holocaust.
in the Holocaust at Auschwitz, and yeah, and my grandmother was very affected and had a really hard to, she was not in a concentration camp, but
Okay. Um, the identification and um, l- living as a Jew seems not to have happened until relatively recently. Is that accurate?
for me,
Yeah,
no, I was always like how other people are part Irish, and like I always knew I was Jewish. It was more of a secular sense, though. Like I joined a temple once, and when I lived in Pittsburgh, but it was that temple where then there was a shooting at. So I thought, oh,
Tree
this
of
is,
Life.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So and I did that as an adult after law school. So yes, you're right. Like it was always a secular part of my life, but an important part.
Clearly. So, looking at it from 36,000 feet, there was the secular part of your life, and now there is a distinctive secular and religious part of your life. Where did that come from? How did that happen? How did that evolve? Because I'll tell you, up until 6 months ago, I never heard of Staci McGlinchy.
Did you hear of Stacy Bornstein?
Nope.
That's I
No.
I'm not I it might be old age. I don't know that like you want something more. I think, and I'll tell you, I remember feeling a little bit on the outs everywhere because I didn't know there were reform temples. My grandparents were conservative. My dad's family did not go to their wedding, like it was a big deal. And then, so I didn't think, I knew the Orthodox and conservative temples wouldn't accept me, you know?
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah. And so I don't know. I don't know. That's it. I don't know. But there is this need to learn more.
So that's something you've clearly done since you're in a lot of my classes, and now you're at the services, and you're at Havdalah, and you're taking an active role in the synagogue. I'm wondering whether or not the pandemic played any part in it.
Oh, I'm sure. I think you're right.
How
And
so?
and the sense for community, I think a lot of it was also the sense of community because my children, my son is 20, my daughter is 16, and I have more time. And I live in Point Pleasant Beach. So like I'm alone here. Like
Mm,
I don't have that community that I had in West Long Branch.
right. West Long Branch is loaded with Jews and Italians.
Everybody's either Jewish or Italian.
Right.
Yep.
Right. It's like my neighborhood. Everybody on my street was Jewish, and then 4 or 5 streets over on Waterloo, everybody was Italian. So we went to school with all the Italians, and it was just part of the it was part of the milieu. It wasn't there it there was that's just what we grew up with. In fact, it was really funny. I remember when I was in I must have been grade 4 or something like that, and in our school everybody was Jewish, and they all went either to, you know, Beth Emeth, which was the conservative synagogue, or one of the Reform synagogues. And in Toronto, there are 37,000 synagogues, and so we had new students. New students came in like November, and they were twins, and their last name was Taylor, Taylor. And I got to know them. I became friendly with them, and I found out that they weren't Jewish. And my first reaction, I'll never forget it. I was 4 years old, grade four, so I was 9 years old at the time. I said, I didn't know there were any such thing as people who weren't Jewish. Yeah.
Right.
But community becomes really important. Communities become very important to you. Jewish communities become very important to you.
It really does. And that was missing because even though it was like I had the secular sense, there was still, like all my friends. I mean, I still have my friends from when I was little, but the friends I've made here are are different, are lovely, lovely.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. So what kind of religious changes are you seeing in yourself? Tough question.
That is a tough question. I don't know that see a lot of religious changes because I think I was definitely brought up to pray, and religion fascinates me. Like I can't wait for summer to be in your theology class.
Okay.
I can't wait because I won't be teaching and I could do that. But um, like
We'll
I
we'll wait for the snow to melt. What do you think?
okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm really getting a lot out of the class that I'm the Torah study a lot. And it's extremely helpful. And it like no, I find it very calming where I never have before,
Hmm.
because I've been to like I've gone into a Catholic church many times,
Sure.
and it's it can be a little scary.
It's scary. Okay.
A little bit. Well, when you first like see all the icon, a little bit.
Okay.
It's more fire and brimstone.
Well, yeah, Jews tend not to do a lot of fire and brimstone. We're too
Yeah,
busy arguing with each other.
right, right.
Um, um, what has brought you calmness? That was the word you used, I think,
Mhm.
in Torah study. And I'll tell you why I'm asking, because I don't usually associate any of my classes with people feeling calm.
Well, but learning all about I've never read the Torah cover to cover and I've heard all the
Oh,
stories, but um just I think meeting with everybody and listening to what they have to say and having no one say like, well, if you're Jewish, why don't you dress all in black? And why don't you and learning all about like learning more in depth, learning about the stories line for line because you really do go line for line.
sure,
Yeah.
sure. Um, I love teaching Torah class. I love teaching all of my classes. And I've done an awful lot of teaching over the past 35 years, obviously. Um, One thing that I find interesting is that people who are relatively new to study um, can't understand why there are other opinions about a text, and why aren't they listening to the rabbi, since the rabbi's supposed to know all of the text. And the other question that they're asking is, why is the rabbi listening to other opinions? Right. And it gets confusing. Somebody who walks into that kind of situation without a lot of experience in Jewish culture, I think doesn't always get it.
Well, it's way more. I don't want to. I mean, not because I respect everybody's, but
Of course.
it's not like the approach is. It's nothing shoved down your throat. Everyone's respectful of everyone else's opinion and views, and I find that very comforting and welcoming in a
That's
way that
wonderful. I never would have made that kind of a connection. I never would have. So I thank you for sharing that. Where do you want to go Jewishly?
Hmm. I don't know. Where
right?
I yeah. Hmm.
You're my seventh interviewer, so I'm getting better at this.
That's a hard question.
It is, right?
Right, because I didn't really have a plan. I just wanted that sense of belonging, and I wanted to find a community. Um, but I want to get more involved. Like I don't
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. I'm afraid like literally I'm afraid to go to Israel
Why?
because my grandparents always told me you shouldn't go there because like it's the one place they never went, worried about getting hurt and all the wars. I know.
No, no. I've been there. I think I lost track after 12. I'm not sure if I've been there 12 times or 13 times. Um, but it's interesting, and you're actually onto something, because a lot of people have these preconceptions about what Israel is, or what being Jewish is, and they're almost always wrong. And but that's okay. I mean, that's okay. When I lead a trip to Israel, another trip to Israel, with the temple, you and your family could join us, and maybe we can disavow you of uh, uh, some of the prejudices that you still may have. But it really is a wonderful place. Of course, you can't go there now because of this pandemic. But as a student of history, I will tell you that pandemics end, um, and there'll be lots of opportunities for you to go, and it's something that you should go, that you should do, because it gives you a connection with all of the places you're reading about, right? So we just read the portion, or the pericope dealing with um, Jacob, and he was talking to his sons about the death of Rachel, and how she died on the way to Bethlehem, and that's where she's buried. And it's pretty amazing when you go to Kever Rachel, which is the tomb of Rachel. So all of a sudden, these things are not just stories. I mean, they're real places. um, Using that as a metaphor, you found a place at the synagogue,
Yeah.
and it didn't take a lot of time, which I'm really, I'm first of all, I'm pleased about that. Um, and I want, maybe you could share with us, what is it within you that searched out Beth Miriam? Because what you did, and I don't even remember the timeline, was it like 9 months ago? You sent me this. I don't know if it was a text or an email,
It's an email.
and then I didn't hear from you for 3 months.
I
So
know.
right.
Because I
So
wasn't accepted as like I was worried because my mother is Italian, and now that once my parents split up, she went back to the church. So I knew I wouldn't be accepted in a conservative or Orthodox synagogue.
okay, well, that I don't know that that's entirely accurate.
Ah,
Um, right. Maybe in an Orthodox synagogue that might be the case, but I don't think that's the case anymore in a conservative synagogue, because, excuse me, there are a lot of people in America and all over the world, obviously, who are the children of interfaith marriages.
yeah,
So where there's a Jewish father, and if somebody is identifying with somebody as somebody Jewishly, um, the question did arise years ago. Did they have to convert? Are they really Jewish? It was really the question of that we call, who is a Jew.
right.
And what I'm hearing from you is that you're not answering the question, who is a Jew? You're asking the question, what is a Jew? And you're saying, this is what a Jew is. I may be the child of an interfaith marriage, but that doesn't make me any less Jewish because I stood at Sinai just like the rest of you. And when I come to class and I participate in a synagogue and I'm doing all of these things, I am expressing my Jewish soul.
Which is so welcoming. Like that's so I don't I really that's such that brings such a sense of peace and like belonging that was missing that I did not have before. And part of it was the lack of religious instruction because my dad was secular, but it was really miss as a child. I think I really missed having that
Okay.
instruction.
So somebody who re engages with their Jewish self, like you're doing in such a way, is called the Baal Tshuva, literally one who has mastered return. Okay? There's a lot of theological elements to that, but as a kind of a gestalt title, it's pretty appropriate. So, do you see yourself as a Baal Tshuva, somebody who has returned, or do you see yourself as somebody who never really left?
Yeah, honestly, it's someone who never really left because I've always known it's like I know I'm part Italian, but I don't speak Italian or I've only been to Italy once. You know what I mean? Like it to me, it's like just that's just who I am.
Hmm.
So no, it's like I never left.
Like you never left.
Yeah,
And because you never left, you still had that driving impulse to belong to something bigger than yourself. Would that be accurate?
definitely. Definitely bigger than myself and definitely part of a community where this is the first time living in Point Pleasant Beach that I've been this fish out of water, like where people think if you're Jewish, you're Hasidic, you know? And
Oh, I see what you're saying.
yeah, it's, and people, so many people have said to me, oh, I've never met a Jewish person before, or they'll make an anti-Semitic comment and then say, no offense. And I never, that just I just wanted some sense of community, belonging that I don't have anymore.
That's great. And you found it.
I did. Yeah.
What do you
Luckily.
like best about the new community that you're part of?
I like that I love that the respect that everyone has for each other. And there's not this like, no one's condemned for having a different belief than, or posing a different question.
Hmm. That's good. Well, then, as a Jewish institution, in that respect, we succeeded.
Yeah.
I would say. No, I would. You know, there are plenty of there are plenty of places where asking a challenging question is taken personally. Whereas, if you ask a challenging question to me, or I ask a challenging question to you, um, you won't take it personally. And that respect, that mutual respect, is something that cannot happen by itself. It has to be earned. It has to be nurtured. And by the way, Stacy, it's very fragile. It's very fragile because somebody may hear something that somebody says and misinterpret it. oh, the rabbi said I was wrong. Oh, I'm so terrible. Or the rabbi is so terrible. Or Stacy is so terrible. Or whatever. Um, um, but by and large, you found a place where you can be affirmed, and who and what you are is an affirmation. Is that accurate?
Oh my gosh. Yes, exactly. You hit the nail right on the head. Exactly. And it's made such a huge difference in my life.
Really? In 6 months, what are the huge differences?
I It's silly, but
It's not silly. Nothing silly.
I feel more secure in who I am.
Wow.
Yeah, and I feel more confident, and also it stays with you. Like the things that you talk about, I are in my mind and helping. Like if something comes up, like to be a good Jew, to be kind, to be like that. I hear all that. I can't think of a good example now because I'm nervous, but
I understand. I understand.
it's happened a bunch of times where
That's really interesting.
I hear that in my head. And also for the because I sometimes, it's hard when people have different views, but I'm also being very, I don't know if respect, I mean, I'm always respectful, I hope, but um, listening to people with different views as well. Because this country, like it's so torn apart right now. So easy to be on one side.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. Um, this is really interesting. I mean, there's a lot that I did not know about you that you shared with me. I mean, that was really instructive. And I think that, when people look at this video, they're going to say, oh, this is a person I can relate to. Next time I see her, I'm going to share the story. I'm going to share my story with her. That's interesting. So, what else do you want to add before we wrap it up and I post the video?
I just want to thank you so much and the whole congregation for letting me in.
Letting you in.
I was brought up to think I would never be accepted.
That's a
So
pity.
but that's how I was brought up to think. And so I get emotional, like, because now I feel I am accepted. That's
Mm.
huge for me. Huge.
I think something like that is huge for everybody. I think it's huge for everybody. Oh my God, that was beautiful. That gave me goosebumps.
Oh,
That gave me goosebumps. Um, okay, Stacy, I want to thank you for sharing this story. I mean, your journey is inspirational, especially for somebody in the same situation. Especially that last thing you said, that it's affirming, and I now know that I belong, and I can put away the false notion that somehow I didn't belong.
that has helped my heart so much. I think that's why in the beginning I reached out to you and then you didn't hear from me, because I'm like, oh, they're going to tell me to take a hike. They're going to be like, we not you.
Wow.
So
Boy,
yeah, it was
boy,
hard for me to reach
am I glad you persisted.
out. Me too.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, very good. So give your family a big hug for us, and yeah, again, it is just it's a treasure and a treat having you as part of our community, and we are delighted that you embraced us.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you so much. And I'll see you later tonight.
okay. What's
7:30.
tonight?
7:30.
Havdalah tonight.
Yeah, tonight.
Okay.
Holla, right?
I'm gonna have to check my calendar.
Uh-oh. Okay, I'll look online. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Stay online. Hang on one second.